Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joelle Simone Anthony. I am also known as the Grave Woman, and today we will be discussing funerals for the LGBTQ and I believe I community. I want to preface this video by saying that regardless of how you identify in gender or in sexual attraction or any way that you live your life, you have the right to be remembered as you lived. And the reason I'm making this video today is because I've received several questions via email, DM, and even in person about making arrangements as a transgender, a gay, or a non-binary individual. I'm going to read one of the questions that I received online, and I'm not going to share the name because they asked to remain anonymous, but this is what the question says. It says, "Hi, Grave Woman." I'm not going to read your name, but I have a question about making funeral arrangements for myself. I am a 42-year-old transgender woman, and outside of my immediate family, and you have in parentheses parents and siblings, I don't have anyone else in my life. I'd like to fall in love one day, but if I should die before that happens, who will be responsible for making my funeral arrangements? My family is very, very, very conservative, and they have never accepted the fact that I choose to live my life as a woman. When I'm buried, I fear that they will try to bury me as a man, and that's not what I want. Help. What can I do? I would suggest that you go into the funeral home in person and actually sit down with a funeral director, explain your situation, and explain that you want to be buried as a woman. This is the only thing that is going to guarantee that you're buried in the manner in which you want to be buried. When you pass away, being that you don't, I'm assuming you don't have any children, you didn't say, your parents, if they're still living, are going to be considered your next of kin, and they will have the legal right of disposition for your remains. And that means that they can go into the funeral home and make the decisions that they decide to make at the time, whatever they should be. I'm sorry that you don't have the support or the family system in place that you feel would honor your wishes as you pass away, but once you make that pre-need arrangement, you have a contractual, or that funeral home has a contractual obligation to make sure that your final wishes are fulfilled. You're also going to need to share that information or share those arrangements with someone that you trust. In this situation, it may not be your parents or your siblings. It would probably be a close friend that you would let know, or maybe numerous close friends that you would let know, okay, I have these arrangements in place and this is what I want done. In the event that I pass away before you do, make sure that my family has this and that this particular funeral home is made aware that I've passed away. And the reason I say that is because if no one knows that you've made these arrangements, then it would be almost a waste of time and money, because 9 out of 10 chances you're going to have to put up some money to start paying for your arrangements to align with the contractual obligations. So just be prepared for that as well. But if no one knows that you've made these arrangements with the funeral home ahead of time, you could pass away and your family could decide to go with a completely different funeral home who doesn't have that contractual obligation with you in place. So thank you so much for that question. And again, I just want to express wholeheartedly that regardless of how you identify in life, it is your right to be remembered, and to not only be remembered, but be celebrated in a way that reflects the way that you live your life, regardless of what that may be. I've also received questions from individuals who fear that when the time comes for their final arrangements to be made, their partners may be excluded from the arrangement process or the funeral planning process. And again, the best way to ensure that your final wishes are not only fully executed, but those that you want involved in your funeral planning and your funeral process and your funeral services are there and active and present and involved is by securing those pre-need arrangements. You can also go a step further by doing what's called estate planning. And I'm going to make more videos about that in the future with the help of an actual estate attorney. But just make sure that you prepare as much as possible and get as much as you can down in paper and keep your receipts for everything. And don't be afraid to go in and talk to a funeral service professional, because it's our job. The last thing that is on my mind, and I can say about 99% of the funeral directors that I know, the last thing on our mind is someone's sexual orientation or someone's gender identification. Not to say that those things don't matter, but we are here to provide a professional service for you all. And if you're not comfortable with a certain funeral director, you don't have to work with them. If you get bad vibes from a certain funeral home, you have choices. In many communities, there's more than one funeral service provider available to the public. Research, interview, do your due diligence. But if you have any questions, you can always contact me here on YouTube or via email. I'll give my information in just a few minutes, and I'll be more than happy to help you. But the best thing that I can tell you is to pre-plan as much as possible. If you are in the states of Georgia or South Carolina and you are in this situation, or you have questions about making pre-arrangements for yourself, a loved one, or your family, feel free to contact me at thegravewoman@gmail.com, and we can have a discussion about putting things into place, not only for you, but for your loved ones and family. I specialize in making pre-arrangements with families and individuals, and I'd love to work with not only members of the LGBTQ community, but with everyone for making their pre-arrangements. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to learn more, please visit www.thegravewoman.com. Also, be sure to follow me at The Grave Woman on all of your major social media platforms. Live life, love hard, and I'll talk to you next time.